Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Gemma Van Houten. I'm the Director of the Statistics Division here at ESCAP, and it's my great pleasure to be welcoming you all here today. We're going to kick off our session now, and we've got a bit of time for people to join us, but I'd like to kick off our first session just first of all with some housekeeping before we move into a few welcome remarks and opening activity. Many of you are very familiar with MS Teams, which is the platform we're using today, but for those of you who haven't used it before, we recommend that you keep yourself on mute. So actually along the top of the screen is some functionality. You'll see along the top we have a list of participants. There's then a little chat bubble where you can see messages will be put in the chat function, and we'll be drawing your attention to that chat function. You can then put your hand up and raise your hand to ask questions, or we'll also put those in the chat function. If you're having trouble with your sound, the three dots across the top, which says more actions, if you go into the device settings at the very top, that's where you'll be able to select your camera or a different speaker or microphone that you can use here today. The next icon along is your video button, and we recommend, we will be using that throughout the workshop, but if you do have connectivity issues with your internet or your broadband, sometimes it helps turning off your video. The next bubble obviously is the microphone. We do recommend you keep your microphone off while you're part of the workshop, and we'll bring you in if you're speaking, obviously, or have a question. But it just helps with the sound quality if you stay on mute. And then the next button is for those of us who are sharing their screens, giving us a PowerPoint, and we do hope you don't press the big red button that says leave this workshop. We do hope you're able to stay with us for the full 3 hours today. I have the great pleasure to host this opening session for you, and I'm just in a moment going to do some welcomes. We then have a bit of an interactive use of the Mentimeter, a tool that we'll try and use throughout this workshop to make sure that it's as interactive as possible. We're then going to invite all of you to turn your video on so that we can take a photo, an online photo. And then I'm going to we have 29 countries that have joined us today. And us here at ESCAP, we're trying to work out an efficient way of making sure we can introduce all the countries here today within this time slot. But look, if there is, it would really be nice if we could go around and invite one representative from a country. I'll just quickly go around and invite, if there's any country that would like to put their hand up, say hello, or I'll run through the registration list and invite countries. But if we could just have one country say, hello, this is Mr. Batavar, Chairman of Mongolia NSO. It's very nice to see you. Something very short just to welcome you to this workshop. So without further ado, I will, again, very warm welcome to you all today. This is a workshop, a regional cooperation workshop on navigating policy with data to leave no one behind. Very warm welcome to all the national statistical officers with us here today. And I'd particularly like to welcome our colleagues from the National Bureau of Statistics of China, as well as from Korea's National Statistics Office, or KOSTAT. The governments of China and the Republic of Korea are joining with us to undertake some capacity building projects, which we'll share with you during the course of this workshop. And really very pleased to be able to have the support from the governments of China and Korea, as well as the UN Development System and Asian Development Bank and Paris 21, working with us to strengthen statistical systems in Asia and the Pacific. Our development partners are with us today. Very warm welcome to them, especially our co-organisers, UNECE, Paris 21 Asian Development Bank, and really all of us here in Asia Pacific Development Partners, very happy to support you, strengthen your statistical systems. We've tried to design this workshop to be extremely interactive and focus on you, focus on national statistical officers. So over the course of the 3 days, 3 sessions, we want to hear from you about your priorities, especially your priorities for strengthening statistical systems. I joined the UN about 3 years ago, and I've heard many areas where improvements are needed in data sharing, dissemination and communication, advocacy, legislation, engagement with users. And what we're really keen to hear, though, is to hear from you. Tell us where we, the development system, can help you. The workshop's been designed for today and tomorrow to be information sharing and questions and answers, opportunity for you to ask us questions. And then we'll be inviting you to make country interventions on the 3rd day of the workshop, which is next week. We've allowed a break between today and tomorrow and next week to give you time to think about where is it that we can best support you. So we'll be inviting you to make an intervention on the last day of the workshop about your priorities and where technical assistance would be of most value. So we'll share information about tools and assistance that is available. We've also asked 7 countries from our region to share their experiences and knowledge. There's lots of time for question and answers. Please don't be shy. Ask us anything you'd like because we're here to help. And we've structured the program to be as interactive as possible. It really is very unfortunate that the world's still in the grips of COVID-19. It's been over 12 months since we've been able to meet face-to-face. Very new faces are everywhere. This hasn't stopped our commitment, though, to technical assistance and capacity development. And this year we're commencing these 3 new projects, all designed to strengthen statistical systems. And strengthening statistical systems, it really does require commitment. And the projects we've designed have providing a 2- and 4-year timeframe in order to be able to deliver impact for you, for your countries, for your statistical systems. So we're really quite keen for you to think carefully about where best can we work with you, where best can we support you over the next 2 to 4 years to really make a difference. So it's a pleasure to be here on behalf of myself, the entire ESCAP statistics team, and all of our development partners who are with us. A very warm welcome. I'd now like to hand over to our colleague, Ms. Ba Yunghong from the China National Bureau of Statistics, who will also be saying a few welcoming words. Thank you, Ms. Ba. You have yourself on mute, Ms. Ba. Let's try and take, Goy, can you take Ms. Ba off mute? Oh,
Hello, Gemma.
Yes, we hear you now.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gemma. Dear colleagues, good afternoon. Interested by Mr. Ning Jizhe, Commissioner of the National Bureau of Statistics of China, I'm very honored to join this workshop and to exchange views with you. The NBS of China is committed to strengthening regional cooperation and promoting statistical capacity building in the Asia-Pacific region, and is willing to work with colleagues from the statistical community to continuously promote the development of statistical work in the region, as well as monitoring of the 2030 agenda. Please allow me to brief you some work undertaken by the NBS in 3 aspects. The first is about the China ESCAP Cooperation Program. I'm very pleased to inform you that the Chinese government and ESCAP have agreed to support the Asia-Pacific countries to carry out their voluntary national reviews for the 2030 agenda funded by the program. This project will take advantage of the existing methodologies and tools, incorporating prioritized commitments of the Declaration on Navigating Policy with Data to Leave No One Behind, with the focus on strengthening national statistical systems in Asia-Pacific countries and fulfilling the commitment in the Declaration on SDG monitoring. As an implementing partner of the project, we will work closely with ESCAP and the relevant agencies in a concerted effort to achieve the goals set by the project. I believe the implementation of this project will definitely make a positive contribution to the progress of statistics work in Asia Pacific. The second is about the China Regional Hub for the Big Data in support of the United Nations Global Platform. As you know, the China Regional Hub was formally established in December 2020. In the future, the hub will provide capacity building and training opportunities for statisticians and data scientists from national, regional, and global statistical agencies through expert consultation, international seminars, and training courses on data science and modernization of official statistics. As the Asia-Pacific Regional Hub, we will make efforts to serve the countries in the region, actively making use of big data application platforms, sharing advanced international experience in the field of big data, promoting the interconnection of big data resources, and to provide assistance on capacity enhancement and the implementation of the 2030 agenda. Last but not least, is about the high-level group for partnership, coordination, and capacity building for the 2030 agenda. Since the setup of the HLG PCCP and the IET SDGs by the United Nations Statistical Commission, the National Bureau of Statistics of China has served successfully as a member of the IET and HLG group. Throughout this period, we worked closely with our sub-region countries, group members, and also international agencies, actively participate in the coordination and mobilization of resources from all parties, provided suggestions for implementing SDG monitoring, held international workshop on SDGs, and also played an active role in enhancing the capacity of countries. Recently, the NBS of China has submitted the nomination for membership for the next term of the HLG, hoping to make further contribution to the SDG monitoring in the Asian Pacific region. Finally, wish this workshop a complete success. Thank you all.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Ms. Barr. And one of our guests just said, can we hear the sound? The sound was quite all right at my part. Maybe if you could, and several others said it was all right, but if you could check the three dots across the top. If you press the three dots, there's a device option to check your sound through there. So it's my great pleasure now. We're going to move to set ourselves up on a tool called Mentimeter. If you go along the top of your screen, there is a little chat box, a little chat icon. And if you open the chat box, our colleagues will be putting in the chat box this Mentimeter tool. And we're going to be asking you in one word, or one or two words, what is the key area of your statistical system that you would like strengthened? So while we kick off this Mentimeter tool, we're going to, in the chat box there, you'll see a hyperlink to the tool. You'll also see a QR code. And if you're adept with your QR scanning, as we all are under COVID, you could hopefully scan that QR code or click the Mentimeter. And we're asking what part of your statistical system is most in need of improvement? If you enter a word, and if you, on the screen there, you'll see, you can also go to www.menti.com and use the code. But it looks like we're now getting a few people using this Mentimeter. Data integration, ministry, capacity of ministries, population registers, law, big data. So we have some good things coming up. We have six or so answers, monitoring SDGs. Good to see data integration is coming up, disaster statistics, capacity of ministries, Statistical Act review, trainings on industrial statistics. Thank you for that. You can certainly use the chat box as well. So these are really great areas, and certainly over the course of the next 2 days, as well as on the last day in our interactive session, we really do hope that we can address each of these for you. I'll just give it another minute. This also was an opportunity for us to get you familiar with the Mentimeter tool, so that we'll use that over the course of the workshop a few times. Okay, that's great. Let's move on. Don't worry if you haven't put a response in there. Again, this is sort of part of the opening session and to get you familiar with the technology and interacting. I'd now like to ask everybody if they could quickly turn on their video. So along the top of your screen again, it's the 5th icon along. If you're going from left to right, or if you're going from right to left, it's the 4th one after the 3rd one after the leave. And we'll just take a quick photo. Goy, I'm not sure, do you want to manage this, Goy, or?
Yes, I'm fine, yes.
Okay.
I can help with that.
Okay, how's the best way to do this? To turn on large gallery, is that right, Goy?
Yes, I turn on large gallery already.
Okay.
And I will say like 3, 2, 1 smile, and then I will capture.
Okay, great.
Okay. Okay, everyone is ready. The first shot. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let me see how it looks. Can I have another shot? All right. 3, 2, 1. Thank you. We can move.
Wonderful.
Move on to
Wonderful.
the next
Thanks
session.
very much, Goy. Thank you. All right, we're now going to do a really speed introduction at the country level, and I've hopefully got everybody's country listed here. So I'm just going to ask you to, I'm going to go in alphabetical order. So if you get a sense of where you are on the alphabet, and just invite you to just say hello, welcome from whatever country you're from, and so on. So let me start with Armenia. Someone from Armenia? No, someone from Afghanistan? No,
Yes.
from Afghanistan.
Yes, this is Shakur from Afghanistan, Information Management Director.
Wonderful, thank you. Bhutan.
Hello, good morning. Greetings from Bhutan. My name is Tashi Doji. I am from the Social Statistics Division of the National Statistics Bureau.
Wonderful, thank you. Brunei. No. Bangladesh. No. Cambodia.
Good afternoon. My name is Lai Chan. I'm representative from the National Institute of Statistics of Cambodia. Thank you.
Thank you. China.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I'm Bai Hong from National Bureau of Statistics of China. Thank you.
Afternoon. Fiji.
Hi, good afternoon to you all. I'm Kemweli Ngama, the Chief Executive for Fiji Bureau of Statistics. Thank you.
Afternoon, thank you. Georgia. ETHI. India.
Hi, I'm Anjana Dubey from NSO India. Thank you and nice to see you all.
Nice, thank you. Statistical Center of Iran.
Hello, I'm Kamala Kadiri from Statistical Center of Iran and glad to see you.
Thank you. Your sound is very hazy. We can't hear you so well, but we could hear you slightly, but you had a lot of feedback on your microphone. Thanks. Kiribati. No. Korea. Yes, we hear you, Kez. Go.
From Postcard, Korea. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Bit of feedback at your end, CoStat. It's echoing in the background. Mongolia.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Batava, the chairman of the National Statistical Office of Mongolia. So I wish you all the best for the workshop. Thank you.
Thank you. Maldives. Not here yet. Malaysia.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello from Maldives, actually. I'm Shazna from the National Bureau of Statistics, from the Statistics Development and Coordination side. Thank you.
Hi. Thank you. Someone from Malaysia?
Hi, I'm Rianti from Department of Statistics Malaysia.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Okay, we're moving through to Pakistan.
Hi. This is Rizwan Bashir from Pakistan Bureau of Statistics, working there as director. And salam to everybody. We have like Eid holidays here, but I'm still attending. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. I've just been told I've missed Indonesia, so let me just flick back to Indonesia for a moment there. Indonesia. No. Philippines.
Good afternoon. I'm Danilo Lucena of the Philippine Statistics Authority, Region 5, Philippines. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Good afternoon. This is Bernadette Balamban, also from the Philippine Statistics Authority. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Sri Lanka. Not yet. And Samoa. I'm not sure if Samoa's joined us yet. Samoa. No. Thailand. Is that Tajikistan.
Sorry, Gemma, it seems that Thailand is on mute, so we cannot hear Thailand. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Thank you, Gemma. Good afternoon, all. I am Hanai Chanok from the National Statistical Office of Thailand. I think we have like 5 or 6 of my colleagues from Thai NSO join from their own place. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And thank you again to Pakistan and to Thailand and I think a few other countries. Today's a public holiday, so really do appreciate that. Turkmenistan?
Good morning.
Good
morning. We are here.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Vietnam.
Hello everybody. My name is Duy. I come from Institute of Statistical Science, General Statistics Office of Vietnam. I am delighted to attend the workshop. With our workshop, a great success.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nguyen. And there's also feedback on your microphone as well. I think if you have a phone on in your room. I'm now just going to loop back to the people that I've missed. Some colleagues from Kyrgyzstan. Would you like to say hello? Okay, don't have sound. It's okay. Nepal.
Hello, namaste and good morning, good afternoon to all of you. Nice to see you. I am Mahesh Chandra, Director of Economic Census of Central Bureau of Statistics, Nepal. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I've also failed to miss our colleagues in Russia. My apologies to Russia. And I think that's it. So thank you very much, everybody, for helping us with that introduction there. My apologies if I've missed you. Oh, I've just seen Dr. Nini from Myanmar. Would you like to say hello?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Nini Mao from Central Statistical Organization of Myanmar. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, let me just check. Armenia, Bangladesh, Brunei, Kiribati, Korea. Oh, sorry, Kiribati, Tajikistan. I think we've run through everybody.
We have Uzbekistan hands up. Sorry, we have Uzbekistan hands up.
Uzbekistan, would you like to say hello?
Yes, good afternoon. Hello, everyone. It's Nuruddin Mamadkulov from General Consulate of Uzbekistan in Bangkok. Nice to see you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Sorry, my apologies for missing you there. All right, so thank you very much. This was a good, very warm welcome to you all from all of us here at ESCAP. Our development partners will be joining us very shortly. They've put a lot of work into collecting some information on how best we might be able to support you with strengthening your statistical systems. I now would like to hand over to my good colleague Arman, who many of you know, who will give us a little bit of background to the regional agreement we have here in Asia Pacific called Navigating Policy with Data to Leave No One Behind, and where the driver for today's workshop is. Arman, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gemma. Good afternoon, good morning, colleagues. If my colleagues could please put my presentation on. No, not this one. The title is Asia Pacific Progress Towards the Regional Declaration.
Sorry, I'm downloading it.
It's okay. So I'll start while waiting for the presentation. My presentation today will focus on two things particularly. It is trying to describe actions taken by national statistical systems in Asia Pacific to address data gaps for monitoring the 2030 agenda. And also it will provide an overview of the progress we have collectively made in implementation of the commitments in the declaration. As many of you know, and you've been part of this discussion in the past few years, if you want me to share my own screen, I'm happy to do that.
Yes, that would be great. Thank you, Arman. That would be helpful.
Yeah. Sorry, colleagues. Forgive me a few seconds. I will just share my screen. I hope you can see my presentation, Gemma. So the focus on these two things, and maybe before we talk about actions, looking at the data gap in official SDG indicators for assessing progress in the region will help us to better understand the challenge we have been facing with the 2030 agenda. Data availability on the SDG indicators have significantly increased over the past 4 or 5 years. It has increased from 63 indicators available to 112 indicators available. It has doubled. But when we look at the indicators without any data or with insufficient data, you can see that more than half of the indicators still are not available to be used for progress assessment. And this is the main challenge we're all facing together in this region. In 2017, national statistical systems of the region came together and formulated a collective vision and a framework for action by the statistical community in the region to address 5 action areas. And in 2018, they have developed a declaration which was endorsed by the ministers of the region to basically commit on 9 different areas to implement the collective vision and framework for action. Many of you can recognize yourself in this photo. So this has been developed by you in the region. The collective vision is to enable and to empower the statistical systems in the region to address the data gap for implementation of the 2030 agenda. And the focus is on the 5 action areas identified by you in the collective vision. Engaging users and investing in statistics, assuring quality and instilling trust in statistics, integrated statistics for integrated analysis, modernizing statistical business processes, and having requisite skill set are the 5 areas where you decided to take actions to strengthen the statistical systems. And the declaration was also to identify 5 areas where at the ministerial level countries committed to implement. And you can see that it is a wide range of commitments going from integrating the statistics into national development plans to revisiting legislation and institutional mechanisms to strengthen the statistical systems to adopt these frontier technologies, to data literacy and data use. So this is really a transformative, and it is calling for a change, and it aims to put national statistical offices on the driving seat, not only as a producer of statistics, but also as a data orchestrator across the national statistical system. And the focus of our discussion and focus of our workshop for the rest of 2.5 days basically will be on this commitments. The Committee on Statistics also decided to monitor the progress or the collective progress on those commitments and tasked ESCAP Statistics Division to develop a monitoring framework, which we developed and you agreed on during the last session, the last Committee on Statistics in 2020. The framework was not supposed to put any further burden on the statistical systems. It is using existing indicators in the Paris 21, the statistical capacity tool. So as you can see from this graph, it presents data on 17 indicators that are developed under 9 commitments agreed at the 7th session of the committee. Data are drawn from the Paris 21 capacity monitor and are mapped against the targets for Asia Pacific region. The blue bars, the blue part of the bar shows where we currently stand, and the orange shows our progress gap. You can see the existence of a lot of orange shows we have a lot of work to do. I will not go through all, but I will highlight a few of the indicators. For example, commitment A on integrating statistics development with national development plans is measured by various dimensions. For instance, we see less than 70% of countries in the region have a national statistical development strategy. Or according to the World Bank Statistical Capacity Indicator overall score, the average score for countries in our region is less than 70. 20 scores short of the regional target, which is average score of the top 5 countries in the region. It's good, though, to see over 90% of countries have a national statistical plan under implementation. However, a lot more need to be done, as you can see from the orange part of the graph. Let's look at the next commitment B on national monitoring frameworks and indicator sets. We can see here that average score on data coverage in Asia Pacific is 38.8, 20 points below a regional target of 58.8. And an official online portal for reporting sustainable development goal, progress on sustainable development goals does not exist in 12% of countries in our region, 6 years after adoption of the agenda. The average score for World Bank Statistical Capacity Indicator data on data sources category for ESCAP region is only 65. Another commitment that I would like to highlight is commitment on the use of new technologies and building partnership for data sharing. This is measured by membership of the Global Working Group on Big Data for Official Statistics, which in 2018 was less than 30% for Asia Pacific, actually 25.9%. And the next commitment that I would like to highlight is on statistical advocacy and awareness raising. Progress with this commitment is measured by whether a National Statistical Office issues press release at least quarterly, whether the NSO uses social media, and the open data inventory openness score is another indicator used here. The region is far from where it wants to be on these three indicators. For instance, an average score on data openness in our region is 47.3, which is less than half of where the region wants to be, which is almost 90. And only 27% of the NSOs in the region use social media to disseminate data and information. So these are a few indicators that I just wanted to highlight that, of course, the progress has been made, but there is a lot to be done. The takeaway message from this presentation, what I would like to highlight, that 2030 agenda and its implementation demands innovation in several and many areas, including new institutional settings, new data sources, new methodologies, new partnerships, and new dialogue within the statistical system. And to achieve those, we need institutional transformation, and it is as essential as a statistical transformation. And as you can see from this presentation, there is room for improvement everywhere. It's not only one or a few areas where we need to improve. And this will not take place if we cannot legitimize the capacity support and integrate it into our national policy priorities. Thank you for your attention. Gemma, over to you. Happy to address if there are any questions.
Thank you very much, Arman. And yeah, thank you very much for this overview. As you can see, we've got this regional framework, and we've got this excellent monitoring framework and capacity building evidence from Paris 21 to show where we are with the region. And this is the background to which we've brought together key partners for this workshop and the development system. But let's have, if there's any immediate questions, we do have a couple of minutes before we hand over to our development partners from ADB, UNECE, ESCAP and Paris 21 to join you in the next session. Is there any questions that anyone would like to raise on these findings? I think if not, we'll move on to the next sort of information giving session, and then we'll have again time for questions and answers. At the outset, I just remind you, we've structured this workshop to be as interactive as possible. So please don't be shy, ask us questions. We're here to listen to you, to help as much as we can, and present some information, sharing some information, but we really want at the end of this workshop to hear from you about how best can we help you. So with that, let me hand over to you, I think, Arman, for this next session with our development partners. Thank you.
Thank you, Gemma. So we're moving to the next part of the agenda, which is on strengthening national statistical systems in Asia and the Pacific, which has two parts. First part is providing an overview of the tools and technical assistance available. by all the partners. And the second part will be hearing from countries on their experience in strengthening their national statistical systems. So the first part there will be a presentation by my colleague, Mr. Jan Smit, who is ESCAP's Regional Advisor on Official Statistics for Sustainable Development, who will be presenting a matrix of tools and technical assistance available by our partner. And Jan will be joined by colleagues from UNECE, Mr. Stephen Vale, from Asian Development Bank, Ms. Elaine Tan and Mr. Arthur Martinez, and from Paris 21, Mr. Philippe Gafrichi. Jan, floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay. Can you see the slide?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So between ESCAP, Asian Development Bank, UNECE, and Paris 21, we have identified 25 tools and guidance material that is available to address 4 of the key commitments that Aman has been talking about. There is a lot of detail on these tools at fact sheets, hopefully the fact sheets that are available at the link that I have on this slide here. Hopefully you had the opportunity to look at these fact sheets before the workshop. If not, then we encourage you to take a look, because we cannot, unfortunately, given the number of 25, have a detailed look at all of them. Now, these fact sheets talk about the purpose of the tools that are available, the aspects of the national statistical systems that the tool supports, the part of the regional collective vision, that collective vision and framework for action that Aman mentioned, that the tool supports, experiences with the tool to date, and where to find more information on the tool. For commitment A, integration of statistics development with national development policies and plans, there are a total of 12 tools that can help you as NSOs, national statistical systems, to address the commitments. I have divided them here by development partner. For national monitoring frameworks and indicator sets, we have a total of 9 tools that can address the commitments. For legislative provisions and institutional mechanisms for frontier technologies, there are 6 tools, and for the expanded use of official statistics, 16 of the 25 tools address the commitment. I have to say that many of the tools that are available are addressing can address more than one of the commitments. let me now say a little bit about the purpose of the different tools that are available. First, for ESCAP, there is what we have available is data integration guidelines, which gives practical advice and information to advance data integration activities by statistical organizations. We have disaster-related statistics framework, which prescribes descriptions for a basic range of disaster-related statistics and methodological guidance and tools for implementation. There is an environment statistics diagnostics tool, which is a step-by-step approach for countries to conduct strategic planning for implementation of environment statistics. There is the Every Policy is Connected, or EPIC tool, which facilitates user-producer dialogue between data producers and data users to identify data needs for a national policy or sector plan. There is a national SDG tracker, which enables countries to use their own data and indicators and create their own SDG dashboards in just a few simple steps. Then there is the National Statistical Systems, NSSS review tool, which supports comprehensive analysis of the institutional, organizational, and technical capacity of a country to produce and disseminate official statistics that comply with international standards and recommendations. There is a producing land cover change maps and statistics guidance on the use of the QGIS and RStudio software, which of the purpose to provide expanded use by national agencies of satellite data and modern tools and technology for land accounting that complies with the system of environmental economic accounting. And finally, there is technical guidance on ocean accounting at ESCAP that describes a statistical framework for ocean accounting through review of foundational material on ocean accounts and data, guidance for the process of compiling ocean accounts, and a research agenda for ocean accounting. The tools that ADB has available include a guidebook on mapping poverty through data integration and artificial intelligence, which achieves subnational disaggregation of SDG indicators, particularly poverty statistics, based on recent studies that combines geospatial data, satellite imagery, and powerful machine learning algorithms with traditional data sources, including household income and expenditure surveys and conventional methods. ADB has guidance on computer-assisted interviewing technology, which supports the use of digital technologies in survey data collection, including computer-assisted personal interviewing, computer-assisted telephone interviewing, and computer-assisted web interviewing. ADB has also a practical guidebook on data disaggregation for the Sustainable Development Goals, which brings together statistical standards and tools that have been and can be utilized by countries to provide disaggregated data for compiling SDG indicators. And finally, there is an introduction to small area estimation techniques, a practical guide for national statistical offices, which provides an inventory of various small area estimation methodologies to yield granular data for official statistics compiled from surveys. Our colleagues at UNECE have a Conference of European Statisticians roadmap on statistics for the SDGs, which is guidance to national statistical offices on producing statistics for SDGs, including on what needs to be done, who are the stakeholders, and what are the opportunities for cooperation. There is a generic law on official statistics that supports countries that want to update their statistical legislation in line with international best practices. There are recommendations for promoting, measuring, and communicating the value of official statistics, which showcases the value of official statistics and provides recommendations for statistical officers on ways to promote, measure, and communicate this value. And finally, there is a document entitled Using Administrative and Secondary Sources for Official Statistics, which is a general international methodological handbook to help those in the early stages of administrative data use. And then our colleagues at Paris 21 have the ADAPT, the Advanced Data Planning tool, which is a free cloud-based multilingual and consultative data planning tool for national statistical officers and other data producers to adapt their data production to the priority data needs from policymakers. There is a clearinghouse for financing for development data, which provides information and services to match the supply and demand of financing for data and statistics to foster transparency, accountability, and alignment, and facilitate coordination among donors in partner countries. There is the data flow analysis framework, which is a guideline for NSOs to undertake the background work required to establish a workflow-based integrated dissemination solution for indicators. And finally, there is a gender statistics assessment framework, which is a framework to assess data and capacity gaps linked to gender statistics. So that is a very quick overview of the tools and guidance that there is available among the partners. Thank you, Arman.
Thank you very much, Jan. We will soon have a question-answer session where we can interact with countries, and you could ask questions in regards with those tools if you have. Before we go to QA session, I would like to invite my colleagues from ADB, ECE, and Paris 21, if they would like to add to what Jan presented in terms of their activities and their tool. You can start from Stephen Bell from ECE.
Well, thank you, Arman. I think Jan gave a good overview of the main tools that are available. Of course, that is a relatively small selection of what each of the different organizations has produced over the years. There are also a number of tools, handbooks, guidelines on very many statistical production areas. So I would encourage the participants to look at the websites of the participating organizations and find more detail on all of these other resources as well. In UNECE, we have a similar approach to ESCAP. We have something called the Global Assessment of National Statistical Systems, which is a thorough evaluation of a national statistical system. It's carried out approximately every 5 or 6 years, and that covers all areas of statistical production and management, and results in recommendations, which will usually feed into the National Strategy for Development of Statistics, and also then go on to provide the basis for capacity development work over the next few years. We also have a policy of trying to bring together countries across our region and beyond. We have expert groups on most of the main major statistical areas, and often we have back-to-back workshops for countries that are either relatively new to the topic or don't have the resources of the biggest countries to also try to catch up. So that's something we're increasingly putting in place. And then finally, with various partners, we have sub-regional and regional events, such as this one with ESCAP and the other partners. Also, we're working with Eurostat, European Free Trade Association, and various other international organizations. So I think there's a lot of work going on across all of the partner organizations. And if countries have a specific need, then we're always willing to talk to you to see how we can best meet that, either with our own organization or through partners. So please get in touch if you have any specific needs as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve. Before I move to Elaine from ADB, colleagues, if you have questions in regards with the tools and the presentation that Jan gave and the tools that our colleagues from agencies refer to, please put your question in the chat box so that we can come back to your question after our partner's intervention. Elaine from ADB.
Thank you, Aman, and thank you, Jan, for the presentation. I'll just like to echo what Stephen said. Indeed, the Asian Development Bank has invested in statistical capacity building for decades now, so our range of work is far more than the 4 fact sheets that we have featured. I put in our website for those of you who are
Colleagues, may I ask you please to mute your microphone while others presenting and speaking? Sorry, Elaine.
Yeah, no problem. So the website, let me re-enter the website. That is our website, which has all our latest offerings, our publications, as well as our databases, which may be of interest to the NSSs represented here. So as I was saying, we have been looking at statistical capacity building for a few decades now, and we've done a whole range of work that many of you are familiar with. Our focus going forward will be on big data, so I'm very interested to hear what needs you have on big data, as well as in data innovation. We are featuring 4 fact sheets today. Art is in charge of 3. I'll pass the mic over to him in a minute. And one of the areas we're featuring on is new technologies in survey collection. So we all know that even though big data is very important, survey data continues to be very, very critical as well. And so we're hoping to encourage countries to invest more in technologies in data, survey data collection. So let me hand over to Art. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elaine, and good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. So just to echo what Elaine mentioned earlier, so really ADB has been a strong advocate of strengthening capacity of statistical systems within the region, particularly in the context of embracing the data revolution. So we need to explore how to integrate conventional data sources with innovative data sets. I think on surface, many national statistical systems recognize the rich potential of integrating this multiple data sets from conventional to non-traditional data sources as well as methods. The challenge perhaps is translating that appreciation into action. In fact, back in 2017, we had collaborated with UNECE, wherein we conducted a sort of survey, and one of the questions we asked was whether national statistical offices of select developing countries within the region, whether they had already started exploring the potential of innovative data by doing specific case studies. Half of them cited that limited access to big data or limited knowledge where to start was preventing them to move forward. And this is where we tried to step in by partnering, collaborating with a number of countries. We did some case studies, particularly in the context of using satellite imagery, big data, in combination with traditional data sources to really showcase its potential when combined when combined in a framework that capitalizes on the rich information provided by these data sources. So these are things that we have been working on, particularly we've been doing a lot on data disaggregation. I think most of us here recognize the importance of having disaggregated data to facilitate evidence-based policymaking. However, there are a number of ways to provide disaggregated data. And on that note, we saw a need to sort of consolidate some of these existing tools that can facilitate disaggregated data. So we partnered with United Nations Statistics Division to come up with this practical guidebook, which is basically a compendium of tools that can be considered by national statistical systems to be able to meet the disaggregated data requirements of the SDGs. Related to that, we have also been doing a lot on small area estimation, poverty mapping, and this is something that we are really keen to explore potential collaboration with national statistical systems within the region. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Art. Philip from Paris 21.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Alma. And good afternoon, everybody. It's in the morning here in Paris. It's 8 a.m. here now in Paris. I would just echo my colleagues that presented the project in the statistical capacity development and the tools that Jan has presented. Just to add that Paris 21, as you may know, support national statistical systems in various areas. And here we mentioned maybe what Jan did not present in the tools, that is supporting the development strategy for statistics, the NSDS. And this is key for national development actually in many countries, because it aligns the demand from national development plans and the SDGs in the national development of statistics strategy. So we continue to support countries in the region in this area, and most of the tools that have been presented, like ADAPT, is used in the process of the development of the statistics strategy by trying to build a data gaps analysis in the process and show clearly what is needed, what is demanded, and what can be provided by the national statistical system, and what is the gap, and how can you plan for the gap. But we have also developed another very important and very interesting tool on capacity development, what we call capacity development 4.0, that helps national statistical systems to assess their capacity, not only in terms of capacity as skills, but it goes beyond just skills, but analyze also the systems, the organization, and goes beyond just identifying the data needs. So this is very key, and it is also used when we are developing the national statistical strategy. And I will invite countries to look into this. I will just provide the link to this on our website. And also I would want to mention that we continue to support the countries in the region in data literacy and data communication. And here I will mention that this is very important actually to produce data, but also most importantly to communicate data in a way that users can understand and use it. So we support countries to develop the communication strategy, data communication strategy, and also we have developed a data visualization tool that countries can use to present the data produced in a meaningful message where non-statisticians can understand and use it. We also support countries in leadership and management, and we think that is key for national statistical offices, especially the managers, the head of the statistical office, but also the managers of the statistical office, to be able to put the case of the role of statistics at the high table and be involved in development dialogue to increase the use of statistics in decision making. So we invite countries to express their needs as Gemma presented in the opening. We are happy to support. We are there to support countries in developing their national statistical systems. Let me maybe stop here. If there is any questions, I'm happy to respond to questions. Thank you, Amma.
Thank you very much, Philip, and colleagues, for your additional details and clarifications. So colleagues, if you have any questions, please post in the chat or raise your hand. There is one question from Korea, which was responded by Gemma, but for the interest of everyone, I think it is important. The question was, if you are interested in applying any of these tools, what is the procedure? Should we go directly to agencies? The answer is that actually this is one of the main purposes of our workshop today and the next 2 days. My colleague Rike will instruct more at the end of today's session. We have developed also an online forum for you to basically express your interest on those tools, but also the day 3 of workshop on the 20th of May is particularly going to be dedicated to discussion on what are your priorities, what are the tools that you would like to apply, and how this should be done. I see one hand, Mr. Alamgir Hossain. Please unmute your mic and ask your question. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me the floor. Actually, my question is to Paris 21 colleagues. My question is, I am very excited to know about the tools they have developed. How Bangladesh can be benefited to learn and use that tools, including the ADAPT. Is there any program, do we have any plan to provide sustaining, or do we have any online tutorial videos so that we can learn the tools and we can use those for our national data planning and data dissemination? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alamgir Hossain. Philip, question is to you.
Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you, Alamgir. I think ADAPT is an open tool. So it's an open source. You can access it on our website, Paris 21 website. And we are actually available to support even online if you'd like to use it. We can provide support, but it's free and you can access it. So especially it's very interesting when you are assessing your data gaps and it can help you to identify what is needed from development plans, from the SDGs, and what you are producing as a national statistical system, going beyond the National Statistical Office, but the entire national statistical system, and identify the gap and try to see how you can plan for that gap. Additionally, it can also help those who are implementing their NSDSs to monitor the implementation of the NSDS. So it's open, it is free, and we are happy to provide any support you may need. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. Any other question? I see one from NSO of India. The question is, can we customize National Statistical System Review tool? Could you please, go ahead. Piyush Patak. I can read the question. The question is, can we customize National Statistical System Review tool for assessment at sub-national level, or if there is any guideline? Again, I think this is maybe for Paris 21, but in case Steve also want to add, please go ahead.
Yes, I think I can provide some ideas here. Most of the tools can be used at sub-national level. For example, if you are using ADAPT and you want to identify what are the data needs from sub-national plans and what is produced at that level of sub-national entity, ADAPT can be used at that level as you can use it at national level. So it's just a matter of redesigning a bit the levels where you need to apply the tool. It's the same thing when you are assessing the capacity using the Capacity Development 4.0. That's also feasible. You can use it from the national level to the sub-national level. So that is completely feasible. It is the same thing when you are developing your national strategy for the development of statistics, and you include, and what is recommended actually, you include the sector strategies, but also the sub-national strategies, because you will need to strengthen your sub-national statistical systems. So it has to appear in your national statistical strategy. Otherwise, you will just have the high level demand and you don't have the sub-national data demand. And this is very key. You may probably see with the data demand coming from the pandemic, the COVID-19, which is more demanding for data at community level. So if we can go down to the sub-national level, then we will be more relevant as national statistical system to respond to data demand. So most of the tools that are provided can be adjusted to fit the sub-national data demand needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. And I also wanted to inform that tomorrow we will have a presentation from Maldives, which will be presenting the experience of implementing the tool in Maldives statistical system. And the answer to your question, whether it is customizable to the subnational level, is the short answer is yes. Rike has been leading that implementation of the tool. I wonder if she wants to briefly address the question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Aman, and thanks to Piyush Pathak for the question, which does relate to the NSS review tool. The answer is yes, as Aman says, and exactly on how, I think that might be a good part of the Q&A session we could have tomorrow when we do hear from the Maldives assistants experience with this particular tool. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rike. Any other colleagues want to add to this question? If not, there is one more question to all partners actually. Supporting NSOs in exploring the use of big data sources to complement the traditional data source. We are looking at TA in this regard. So this is Bhutan. Any of colleagues from maybe ADB, you could answer this question. You already have highlighted a few activities on use of big data, especially on poverty mapping.
Thanks a lot, Arman. Elaine, do you want to step in
No,
first?
go ahead.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Dorji, for the question. In the case of ADB, as mentioned earlier, our approach is really because we understand that some national statistical for some national statistical systems within our region, the use of big data is very new, and what we wanted to do is to sort of pilot test specific methods in different contexts. So we've begun with how to facilitate more granularity in the context of compiling poverty statistics. And we did that by combining conventional survey-based methods with satellite imagery. Moving forward, we're also looking into the possibility of integrating other big data sets like telco data, if possible, so we can push the limits forward. While the key study that we did, particularly in partnership with the Philippine Statistics Authority and National Statistical Office of Thailand, focus on poverty estimation. In principle, some of these big data related methods can also be extended for other development indicators. And this is something, as we mentioned earlier, where we're definitely keen to hear more about the needs, specific needs of national statistical offices, which specific areas they want to work on, and how they are and what kind of big data sets they might be able to use, so we can potentially explore how to support them with regard to doing these pilot studies. Elaine, if you want to add, please.
No, Art is absolutely right. We started the project, which was led by Art a few years ago, using satellite data. Satellite data is easily available because it's more or less open source. But if you are thinking of a big data project that requires private sector data, then we probably need to have a private conversation about that as to the kinds of data we can collaborate on. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Gemma, ESCAP has been very active recently on big data. Would you like to come in here?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Arman. So we were very happy to receive this question around the use of big data sources, and I see Steve's also come on board. There is a lot of development partners in the UN. You've just heard from ADB in the area of poverty measurement, but we've been active here in ESCAP across all different types of data sources and in the different areas. And we've just released actually four or a variety of knowledge documents. One on use of big data for social and population data statistics. One on big data for economic statistics, one on big data for environment statistics, and then one on big data for SDG indicators. So we really think we have quite a lot of information that is available to you. And this workshop, we're definitely keen to hear from countries who would like some technical assistance in this areas, particularly around the institutional and governance areas, because this is the area we're finding is the biggest challenge. Not getting your hands on the data, not the methodology, but the institutional arrangements like data sharing, whether your law allows you to use data sources. So this project that we're sharing with you today, tomorrow, and next week is getting to the heart of those institutional and governance arrangements. What law might you need? What data sharing agreements might you need? What partners might you need? What communication strategy might you need? Which is, and that's trying to make strengthen your statistical system to use whatever data source you'd like for your official statistics. So if this is an area that you're interested in, please think about it closely. Get back to us over the course of this workshop or outside, because we have a lot of expertise in our region to share, not only with the partners, but as you heard from China that have set up a big data hub, and our other partner, Korea, COSTAT, have got some real strengths in this area as well. So very happy to receive that question. Thanks, Arman. I'm just conscious too, Arman, of the time. I'm wondering if we should hand back to Rike now to pick up the country presentations, because some people have waited.
Right. Thanks, Gemma. Thanks, Gemma. I think we will have, colleagues, we will have lots of time for discussions. There's another question from our colleague Lei Chon on whether there is a possibility of joint support. Absolutely. This is one of the reasons why we are here today with partners, and we are looking for areas of partnership with countries. So let me close this session. Of course, the discussion is open, it's not closed, but we move to the next segment, which is the second part on country priorities. Will be chaired by my colleague Rike Wang Hansen. Rike does not need an introduction to this group, so let us go directly to Rike. Rike, over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Aman, and thanks to everyone for adding information on some of the tools available. And as we can see already from the chat, this is something that's generating a lot of questions, and that is something I see as a very strong and good sign of interest from all the many countries who are joining us here today at the workshop. What we will do now. What we will do now in this second half of the session on strengthening national statistical systems is to do exactly what Arturo from ADB just said in his response, and that was, well, we do need to hear more from countries about their needs to be able to get a little bit more specific in terms of the kind of support that really could make the most difference and add best value to national efforts to strengthen statistical systems. And in this session, we have a very strong lineup of speakers from Bhutan, Fiji, Mongolia, and Thailand. And we will hear from all 4 countries on their priorities for strengthening national statistical system and some of the key activities and plans they have in the pipeline. What we will do is to hear each presentation, and I will open up for very specific questions for clarification after each presentation. And then when we've heard from all 4 countries, there should still be some time for a general debate and question and answer sessions where everyone participating are welcome to shoot questions at all 4 presenters. And that, of course, includes both people participating from national institutions and from international organizations. So what I will do is to call upon the speakers in alphabetical order. We are so fair here, and I'll go alphabetically by country. So I'll call on Bhutan first, then on Fiji, then on Mongolia, and then on Thailand. And for all our presenters, my colleague Goy will be sharing her screen with your presentation. So hopefully we can progress here with very few technical glitches. So it is my pleasure to invite Mr. Tashi Dorji from Bhutan as the first speaker. And Tashi is the chief of the Social Statistics Division in the National Statistics Bureau of Bhutan. So Tashi, you have the floor, and I hope we'll get a presentation up very shortly.
Okay, thank you, Madam Rike. I don't know if I should keep my video on or I should put it off. I think
you are very welcome, Tashi, to keep your video on so we can all hear who's speaking, and I'll switch mine off while you're speaking.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, so yeah, 10 minutes, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon once again. My name is Tashi Dorji. I am from the National Statistics Bureau, Bhutan. So
as I was asked to make a presentation on the strategic plans to improve statistics in Bhutan, so I have a few slides. I will be sticking very strictly to the time given by the organizers. So my presentation will have only just 2 points because I was asked by the organizers to present on 2 points, which is the commitment A and commitment B. So which is integration of statistics in the development plan, and the other one is on the legal frameworks. So I will be talking on these two themes. Can you go to the next slide, please? Just to give an overview, we have, in Bhutan, we were really trying to work hard on the development of statistics to support the both international as well as national data needs. So in doing so, what we have done is we have come up with strategic documents aside from what we have prepared with the help from the Paris 21. We have also done a separate study on this strategy to develop statistics in the next 5 years. So we have, in this strategy document, what we have is we have segregated the works that we have thought about in 2 domains, which are data governance and data, the other one is data enablers. That is how we termed ourselves to understand the workflow. So we, under these 2 domains, we have 8 pillars, and under 8 pillars, we have 8 strategic objectives, 16 strategies, we have 62 action plans. And our 8 pillars are, number 1 is innovative data sources. So these 8 pillars are going to be the guiding sort of themes for us to work for next 3 years. So the second one is we are going to focus on the administrative data. So we really wanted to improve the use of administrative data to support the conventional data, which is survey and censuses. And the third pillar is also on the survey and censuses. So we are going to talk a little bit on this survey and census. And the fourth pillar would be on the data harmonization. Likewise, fifth pillar is data democratization. Sixth pillar, data innovation and technology. The seventh pillar, coordination and legal framework. And eighth pillar, we are going to focus on the human capital. So next slide, please. Can I have the next slide, please? While I'm waiting for the next slide, I would also like to inform here that we have also done the situational analysis of the National Statistics Bureau to know our own strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats using SWOT matrix framework. So we have done that. So here now we have the slide number 1, which is on the integration of statistics development with national development policies and plan. I'm sorry. I think I'm having some problem with the slides. Yes. So we have, as I was saying, the current status is we have done some situational analysis using SWOT matrix. So we wanted to find out where we stand in terms of our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities and threats currently. So based on this, then we can work out with our strategic plans and objectives. The other thing is we have also done data ecosystem mapping. So wherein we wanted to find out the weaknesses and gaps that we have in terms of the data availability to meet the requirements of the both international data as well as the national data needs. So we have done the data ecosystem mapping with the support from the UNICEF and the other UN systems in the country. So with that activities, we have come up with where are our weaknesses, where we want to improve in terms of statistical systems. So based on that, we have given some priorities, priority areas. And the fact number 3 is the data literacy, which was also spoken in the previous session by the representative from the Paris 21. So we have also started with the data literacy in our country because we really thought maybe our decision makers and planners lack some, the data literacy. We thought they need to be literate in terms of data usage in the policy formulation and planning, plan development. So we started with the data literacy sometimes back. 2 years ago, we started with the we had a team from the National Statistics Bureau headquarters, and we went to the districts, and we invited the relevant officials, and we have done the data literacy on various themes, socioeconomic themes. Advocating them on the importance of use of data in policy formulation and plan development. So here, based on the status, priority areas for improvement, we are giving focus on the innovative data sources, such as big data. And here, what we are going to do is explore the use of big data to complement traditional data source to generate official statistics. So this is one of the much talked topic in country as well as outside Bhutan. So there's so much talks from the other agencies telling that why don't we use big data for the official statistics, without knowing that there are so many hurdles and obstacles in between, and because as our predecessors, earlier presenters have mentioned, that this is one area we really wanted to learn. The big data is a new concept, and not in Bhutan, but even elsewhere. I think some only in Indonesia and South Asia and some Korea, they started using, but I think it is yet to be determined the success of the use of big data, but Bhutan is exploring the use of big data to complement the traditional data source. And here, what we are trying to do is we really wanted to explore its use, because there are current, I think, in the Ministry of Agriculture here, some, techniques are being applied, especially GIS and remote sensing for agriculture statistics, for crop cut survey and all these things. But we wanted to explore the use of mobile data for tourism and population statistics. And we also wanted to explore the use of electricity data for socioeconomic indicators, retail scalar data for economic statistics, and in the question that I've raised earlier was we are looking for a TA, where we wanted to develop a strategy for the use of big data. How do we go about? What are the requirements? What sort of infrastructure we require to have big data in place to be used? So while we understand that there are so many challenges and issues, but we really wanted to find out and advise Bhutan that these are the requirements, these are the infrastructure requirements, these are the data sharing mechanism that we need to have in place. So we need somebody who is an expert to guide us. Because at NSB, National Statistics Bureau, we have no experts in the big data. So we really are exploring the possibilities of having TA to support us in the developing a strategy for use of the big data. And number 2 is the use of administrative data. Now, I think with the COVID pandemic situation, I believe even elsewhere, the use of administrative data is increasing. Even in Bhutan, there's so much of increase in the use of administrative data for policy and plan formulation. So here we are exploring now how can we improve the use of administrative data, because there is so much of administrative data being collected and compiled by many agencies within the government sectors as well as in the private, but not much of this data were being used by the policymakers and planners, because maybe like there's not so much of confidence, or maybe some standards and methods are lacking in that. So that's why like we really wanted to the usability of the administrative data in terms of its coverage, in terms of its content, completeness, quality, and reporting system, whether those administrative data can be used to support or complement the official statistics. So we wanted to identify the gaps which can be compiled from the administrative data as well. So there are some gaps in the data, but we wanted to assess whether the administrative data that we have in place can fill in these gaps. So we really wanted to do this, and we also wanted to prepare appropriate template for data collection and data sharing standard operating procedures. So these are some things that we are looking at in terms of administrative data. And priority number 3 is our data harmonization. So we have realized that many data are being collected by many agencies, but they are not consistent. Each agency we have different methods and standards, but we really wanted to now standardize with standards that we are going to develop and implement. So we have we have developed some standards, but we are still working on some, such as like ISIC, we wanted to customize as BISIC, and then ISCO, we wanted to customize it as BISCO. And for this also, we are seeking some TA from the UN, ESCAP, especially ESCAP. ESCAP has been helping us in many activities, so we have been exploring this assistance from ESCAP as well as from other relevant partners as well.
Tashi, just a timekeeping note here.
Okay.
Your 12 minutes are already up, so you may want to accelerate a little bit.
Okay. Just next slide, please. Okay, now with regard to legislative provisions and institutional mechanism, the current status is we do not have statistics bill like elsewhere in the world, but we have an executive order. We are working on basis issued in 2006, but we have also drafted a statistics bill, which we are expecting to be submitted to the government for action by the government, but we are not sure whether this will be endorsed by the government or not. The third thing is, in the absence of bill and bill, what we are doing is to improve the coordination among the agencies. We have sort of annual statistical coordination meet, so where we discuss and discuss the issues and challenges among the statistical, among the ministries and agencies to discuss on the problems that we face with regard to data. The priority areas for improvements are, again, the innovative data sources. Like here, I would say like use of CAPI and all these things, CAPI, CATI, CAWI, and the web-based survey and web scrolling and all these things, web scraping. And the priority number 2 is managing the institutional environment. So this, I think we have faced difficulties because this is with regard to the legal framework among, if we refer to the UN and NQAF quality assurance framework, there are 4 areas where we need to give importance or emphasis to improve the quality of statistics. So managing the environment would mean like having Bill in Statistics Act in place so that we have all this desired environment sort of thing for the data collection and data analysis. And the priority number 3 is we have started we working on the statistical calendar from the collecting from the different agencies so that we look at the in terms of time whether we have the duplication of efforts and waste of resources among the agencies. So we are looking at this statistical calendar, and we are now developing statistical calendar to avoid all this respondent burden and fatigue. And number 4 is innovation and technology. So I think I've already talked on this. the use of CAP and all these things. And then number 5 is we are now giving emphasis on the human capital as well, because in the statistics agency in Bhutan, which is a small agency, we are facing with the attrition and we also have very small number of statistical officers. When these people move away or outside agency, then we have limited technical people in hand. So we are looking at the succession planning for the specialized areas, so that we do not fill the gaps once these people go for next position or all these things. So I think this is all I have, Madam Ricky. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tashi. And as I'm sure everyone following could see, the NSB in Bhutan is an extremely active Bureau of Statistics with a lot of very good people. It's small but very active, and always wonderful to work with you guys. So thank you so much. And we can also everyone can see that there's still a lot to do and a lot of plans and a very high ambition level. I don't see any specific questions to you, Tashi. So we will move on to the next presenter, which is the Chief Executive of the Fiji Bureau of Statistics, and that is Mr. Kemuli Naikama. Welcome to you, and I very much look forward to hearing what you have to say about strengthening the national statistical system in Fiji. So the floor is yours for, again, the next 10 minutes, please.
Thank you, Ms. Ricky. Good morning to you all, for those that are in the Asian region, and good afternoon for colleagues here in the Pacific. My role this morning is to highlight the strengthening of national statistical system in Fiji. On the outset, we are currently having a challenging situation here in the country due to the global pandemic, COVID-19. We are on lockdown mode at the moment. We are working from home, and it has been a challenging year since the intervention of the COVID-19 since January 2020. And there has been some challenges with regards to the collation and the production of statistics due to certain restriction, which has greatly affected the businesses, either those that have closed down and those that have reduced in terms of days and hours of operation, and as well as reduction in employees. So those are the challenges we are currently facing at the moment. However, it does not stop us at the Statistics Office in terms of continuing our work in terms of data collection and the production of the official statistics. Can we have the next slide, please, Ms. Ricky? Thank you. The three great things about our Fiji National Statistical System. One, it has strengthened our collaboration and wide consultation with our key stakeholders and other stakeholders that have come into light. Secondly, the strengthening of partnership, not only amongst line ministries and departments.
Can I just ask everyone to please keep their microphones muted while Kemu is speaking? Thank you. Kemu, please go ahead.
Thank you. Second, on the strengthening partnership, as I've mentioned, not only within government circles, line ministries and departments, also with other stakeholders, non-government organization, civil society organization, as well as the private sector. Thirdly, one of the great things that have happened is that strengthened the statistics office in terms of feedbacks that we have been receiving, that other agencies have recognized the importance of statistical office, one for their decision making, as well as having latest statistics at hand to provide them the opportunity to do development planning. And it's good that to note within our office, at the statistics office, our role as the statistics office have been recognized, and that is a good part of it as we intend to improve on our statistical system. Our next slide, please. So the three areas that I wanted to share with you, one is the integration of statistic development with the National Development Policy and Plan. I will start from the priority areas on the right and to work toward its current status on the left. First of all, the priority area on finalization of the Fiji strategy for the development of statistics, which is the Fiji SDS. Currently, we are awaiting the review of our Statistical Act before finalizing the strategic document. It's still with our Solicitor General's office. Our second area is the setup of the SDG task force and the development of a national SDG tracker. We are grateful that UNECE, the Bangkok and the Suva office, the Fiji office, is currently assisting us in that regard. The current status is that we are working closely with the Ministry of Economy, who is the responsible line ministry with regards to the national SDG tracker. Thirdly, the review of our 5-year national development plan. Again, we are currently working with our Ministry of Economy in the review of our national development plan with the line ministries and department. And lastly, the review of the National Employment Policy, NEP. We are currently working with our Ministry of Employment, Productivity and Industrial Relations in that regard, in the reviewing of our National Employment Policy 2018. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. For the next slide, it reflects on legislation provisions and institutional mechanism. These are the priority areas. One, as I've mentioned earlier, the review of the Fiji Statistics Act. The status at the moment, the revised Statistics Act is currently being vetted by the Solicitor General's office. The revised act will certainly improve the national statistical system in terms of availability and the sharing of information. It also have taken into consideration the kind of shocks that we are currently facing in terms of the pandemic, as well as Fiji, as being part of the Pacific, is prone to natural disaster. So these are the areas that we intend to review our Statistical Act so that it improves on our sharing of information for not only with the Statistical Office, but also in the government and other stakeholders involved. The second is the signing of Memorandum of Understanding and Memorandum of Agreement, MOUs and MOAs. The status of which we are signing various MOUs with important line ministries and agencies in order to facilitate exchange of information. The current global pandemic have greatly affected the flow of information gathered through surveys and administrative sources as well, due to lockdowns, due to reduction of manpower, reduction in days and hours of business operation. This we found that is an important area of improvement, not only to address our surveys, also to address administrative source, data source within government circles and private sector. So we have gone beyond that area in terms of signing MOUs and MOAs. The third part is the institutional reform. Fiji Bureau of Statistics Office institutional reform. The current status at the moment, we are undertaking some institutional reform, such as formation of methodology unit and investment in our GIS unit through the use of latest technology software which other countries have been using, the SRIM, we are currently using at the moment with our GIS unit as well. Can I have the next slide, please? Can we have the next slide, please? Anyway, the next slide supposed to be there you are. The expanded use of official statistics. The first priority areas is the Fiji strategy for the development of statistics, the advocacy on the use of official statistics for evidence-based policy making will be greatly improved once the revised Statistical Act is improved. And now, in addition to that, the setup of the Statistics Advisory Committee, which is part of the Fiji SDS strategy. And the second priority area will be the use of official statistics in measuring and monitoring SDG goals. The Statistical Office is in inclusion with the SDG Task Force in preparation to the next voluntary national report update will ensure good governance in terms of aligning reported indicators and the required methodology and statistical standards. So at the moment we are preparing our second VNR, voluntary national report, and that should be ready come 2022. With the Ministry of Economy, which is spearheading the preparatory work. A third area of priority area is working in partnership with international agency to address thematic issues for evidence-based planning and policy, which are aligned to SDG goals and indicators. The status at the moment, we have produced data and reports having recommendation for the Fijian government to take into consideration. Can we have the previous slide? As I've mentioned, data and reports having a recommendation for the Fijian government to take into consideration reports on our household income expenditure survey 2019 and 2020. This we have been working in partnership with the World Bank. Secondly is the Fiji Multi-Indicator Cluster Survey 2021. We are currently working in partnership with UNICEF and UNFPA. The Fiji Migration Profile Report. We have been working in partnership with International Organization for Migration. And lastly, the Human Trafficking and Person of Interest Survey. This we have been working together in partnership with United Nations Office for Drugs and Crimes. So we have been working in partnership with international agency on thematic issues, on thematic areas. Next slide, please. My last slide would contain the most important area that we are concentrating on for 2021. One is strengthening our budgetary submission. This is to justify the necessary funds to improve and modernize the institutional capacity of our Fiji National Statistical System, especially on human resource development. Secondly, on infrastructure development and technical support. Again, we are requesting government assistance in the allocation of proper infrastructure and technical support to address classification and methodologies for us to address statistical analytical software and analysis for survey data. Similarly with the GIS for statistical mapping and data visualization. And thirdly is to strengthen our partnership with key stakeholders. It's good to hear in our previous presentation by our colleagues from ADB and ESCAP, as well as other stakeholders about the use of the tools, and this is an area that we wish to strengthen in partnership. And it's good to note that we are given the opportunity on the 20th of this month to raise our request on areas that we would intend to improve for our activities in 2021. I think that's about all from my side. I think time's up, 10 minutes. And I thank you all for listening with regards to Fiji National Statistical System. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kemo, for a really comprehensive and very clear presentation. And thank you also for bearing with us. We have some delay here in shifting from one slide to the next, but that is just what we have to work with. It's part of the new virtual era, maybe we should say it like that. And I'm also very happy that you've already got some inspiration from some of the inputs that we've had earlier today on some of the tools that might help you take some of your priorities forward. And I'm also just to pick up on one point where you talked about some of the measures you've taken both to develop legislation and institutional mechanism with the idea of taking advantage of new data and new technology. I find it's a very structured approach of being very, very clear on when are we really looking at the legislation upon which we build our work, and when are we looking to enter into different types of agreements or institutional mechanisms. And often when it comes to the basics in terms of privacy, confidentiality, sometimes we do need to adjust legislation, but many other things can actually be dealt with by massaging the institutional setup a bit, which most often is so much faster than having to change some of the hardwiring of the statistics system, which is the legal frameworks, which is a major undertaking always. So, Kemo, thank you so much for sharing your reflections and for sticking to the allotted time, even with the technical glitches, which were all on our part. So thank you so much. And I will move on to Mongolia, where we also have the head of the statistical office, which is in the case of Mongolia, Mr. Batawa Batmung, who is the chairman of the National Statistical Office of Mongolia. And I understand you will share your screen yourself, Mr. Batawa, and I see that you're already doing that, so that works excellently. You have the floor for the next 10 minutes. Please do go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me and can you see my slides moving?
Yes, you are very clear, and the slides are moving much faster than what we manage here from Bangkok. Please do go ahead. Yes.
Okay, so thank you again for giving us an opportunity to share our experience here in Mongolia. So let me, we have prepared this presentation in accordance with the template that has been given to us from the ESCAP. So let us begin with the three greetings about our national statistical system that we are proud of. Firstly, the NSO of the Mongolia is the coordinator of the National Statistical System of Mongolia, in which we set the standard classification and methodology for the relevant ministries in collection of the data and dissemination of the administrative statistics and the data. And secondly, one of the main things we are proud of is we have a relatively experienced staff relative to the other ministries. On average, we have the employees who have at least 9 years of the working experience here at the NSO. And thirdly, we are proud about the quality of our official statistics. According to the Open Data Inventory, we are ranked as a 9th globally and 3rd in the East Asia in terms of the openness. And now let me move into the area of the integration of official statistic development with the national development policies and plans. So basically, in terms of current status, official statistics are used for the national development policy and planning. For example, the government, every 4 years after the government is elected, the government use the official statistics, and they use the official statistics as a target for their next action plans for the next 4 years during the cabinet tenure. And also we have Vision 2050, which is the long-term strategic document in which the official statistics are used for the main indicators for the to measure the performance of our Vision 2050. And in terms of the priority areas for improvement for the use of official statistics in the policy and plans is we have a room to improve in terms of capacity building for the ministries, relevant ministries, statistical functioning. For example, according to the law on statistics, the law stipulates that every ministry has to have a statistical unit in their structure. However, currently only 6 ministries out of the 14 ministries have the statistical units, and their turnover rate is quite high, which emphasizes that the NSO has to work really hard to train the statistical staff or units working at those ministries due to the high turnover. And we have to also focus on the quality of the administrative data that has been produced by those ministries with the relevant inexperience. And as for the statistical development for national development policy papers or policy documents, there is no mention of the development of statistics itself in almost every national policy documentation. So we would like to emphasize in the future that we will to measure our progress, we will also have to look into the development of our statistics as well. So we are pushing the government to put some clauses for helping the government to focus on the production of the statistics and the investment into the national statistical system. Of course, we've had the national NSTS that has been we had 3 NSTS in the past. The last one has just finished last year. And this year, we will have to ratify the NSTS by our own board at the NSO itself. The previous NSTS has been approved by the parliament, but starting from this year, there's been a change in the law that the country should have only one development policy, which contains every major development plans for every sector. And individual development strategies must be, for the sectors, must be developed by the relevant agencies or ministries. That's why we will have to approve the NSTS by ourselves, not the parliament, starting from this year. This might create a challenge for us in the future because most of the case, the NSTS has been used to allocate certain resources to the national statistical systems. So maybe in the future we will have to fight for the resources for this matter. And in terms of the monitoring frameworks and indicator sets for the national level, we have Vision 2050, which is the long-term strategic document in which the official statistics are used as the indicator sets and the monitoring framework is created according to it, as well as we have a green development policy. Same goes here. We have official statistics set here to measure the performance of this policy. And we think the priority areas for the improvement is the national SDG indicators and the aligning of the SDG indicators with the indicators of the Vision 2050, because Vision 2050 has about 72 indicators, while the SDG from relevant SDGs for Mongolia is, I think, around 238 or 9, and we will have to somehow align those indicators and create a single indicators along this document. So these are the priority areas that we think there's a room for improvement. In terms of the legal provisions and institutional mechanisms, at the moment, our national statistical system is governed by the law on statistics, but we think there is a weakness in the law that there's no clear provision for the NSO to access to the new data generated by not only in the private sector but also the public sector. For example, we have sometimes the issue in accessing the data of the certain relevant ministries or agencies, which they prohibit NSO from using the data due to the privacy issues, even though the law somehow ambiguously expressed that the NSO has some certain capacity to access to this data. So in terms of the data collection, we will have a room to improve the data access for the NSO. But for the data dissemination, we have opened the microdata from the survey and census to the privacy protected microdata to the both public and private sectors through our website. And for gathering data, currently our main mechanism is we usually make an individual agreement with the ministries or relevant agencies or MOU to on the data sharing, but we've seen that this individual agreement takes time. Like there's a negotiating time, and then there's a establishment of the system between those agencies, and it usually takes quite a long process. So what we think is we are planning to establish an integrated data infrastructure at the NSO. So this data infrastructure is used to collect all the data created by all the administrative data collectors, and it will be some of this data will be used for the compilation of the official statistics, as well as the use for the ministries for the evidence-based policy making. So to establish this integrated data infrastructure, we are planning to make an amendment to our legal framework, specifically on law and statistics on the access to the data and then data sharing. We will have to make these data sharing and access clauses more clearly. Otherwise, we would still have a problem of the sharing data. And since we are planning to establish an integrated data infrastructure, then we will have to work as a data stewardship for the government data. So this creates the data governance issue. So we will have to look at the data governance of the country as a whole, and also we will have to look at each individual sector's data quality and the stewardship system-wide. So I think it will be a long process for us. And in terms of the expanded use of the official statistics, we, in 2017, the Parliament issued a resolution saying that commanding the government to use official statistics in terms of, instead of using the minister level data that they have produced themselves. So this resolution helps us to use the government to use more on the official statistics, and also law on the development policy and planning and its management. It's usually law that sets the development guideline for the country. In this law, it says the official statistics must be used for the setting targets and measuring the performance of the policy. And of course, we use our integrated information database 1212.mn as a main data dissemination portal. And as I said again, the priority areas for the improvement is we will have to enhance the capacity of the staff within the ministry that is a part of the national statistical system due to the high turnaround at the ministries. And also we will have to start focusing more on our communication policy. Otherwise, especially during the COVID, for example, our some business associations, they conducted their own business sentiment surveys and announced that like few 100,000 jobs are lost. But however, our labor statistics say about 75,000 jobs has been lost. So there are like competing numbers coming from the private and also some ministries levels, and it's communicated to the media, which questions the accuracy of the official statistics. So in this area, we have to improve our communication strategy and policy to position the official statistics as in quality statistics for the country. And also, since there's a great progress in the IT technology and digital transformation, we are planning to position the NSO as the government data stewardship in the next 4 years as we develop our national NSDS. So in here, we are planning to create the integrated data infrastructure at the NSO. And three most important improvement activities that we are planning at the National Statistical System is we think that in order to implement those strategies such as NSDS and then integrated data infrastructure, we need to have a very quality human resource. So we are planning to create a training center at the NSDS and introduce more systematic training activities, not only for the staff of the NSO, but all the participants of the National Statistical System, specifically for those staff working at the relevant ministries. And another main improvement activity is the adoption of the NSDS. Here we are mainly focusing on establishing first on integrated data infrastructure and start to implement GSPPM here. And third main activities we are planning is in this autumn, we are planning to submit the revision to the statistical law, which the main revision will be focused more on the data governance and access issues that I have mentioned before. So these are the main points I would like to touch upon. Thank you very much. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Fatava, for an excellent presentation, which also clearly shows some of the advantages one actually gets out of having a consistent and long-term approach to statistics development, having had consecutive national strategies in place, engaging very much with the rest of the government in Mongolia also, which has really placed the statistical office in Mongolia in a position where you are certainly recognized as the coordinator of the national statistical system, and just your efforts now, which seems to be very successful so far in starting to elevate that even further to talk about a data stewardship role, I think demonstrates also the recognition that the statistical office in Mongolia gets from the society in general. I want to also just mention that I've been personally very impressed with the efforts on raising awareness about official statistics in Mongolia, and including all your work on your various dissemination platforms, which I think those of us who may have visited your website would all of us have learned a great deal. So thank you so much, Mr. Bhattava. And it is now time to move from Mongolia to Thailand and welcome Ms. Hathai Chanok Chanauparwat from the National Statistical Office of Thailand. And Kun Hathai Chanok is the Director of the Statistical Forecasting Division in the NSO of Thailand. So the floor is yours for the next 10 minutes. Please do go ahead.
Thank you, Like, and good afternoon all. First of all, I would like to thank UNESCAP Stat Division for inviting Thai NSO to join and present in this session. Today I will present on the topic of the strengthening the NSS of Thailand. So next slide, please. Let us begin with the three great things about our national statistical system. Refer to the COVID-19 pandemic started last year. The government, the Thai government cut our NSO budget, not only NSO but also the other agency as well. Survey is the main source of data collection for statistical purpose in the country, using traditional method of data collection, which is face-to-face interviews. Nowadays, the response rate from the survey is getting lower, especially during COVID-19 pandemic. The interviewer cannot go to the field work to interview the respondents because of the lockdown situation in the country. So multi-mode data collection and new data sources are the alternative mode and sources to support the traditional data collection. So the new data source is the first great thing in our national statistical system. NSO started to develop the register-based census within the way to make census operation more efficient. We are working with many government agencies for using register-based data to be supplementary sources for the population and housing census, agricultural census in 2023, and industrial and business census in 2022. The ongoing projects are studying a multiple source, mixed mode method to collect census data, which would be from administrative register, such as population register, agricultural holding register, and then full enumeration and a sample survey. So the second thing is all the agencies under NSS have to make data more open, transparent, and accessible by government data catalog projects in order to enhance the national statistical system. Data should be more accessible and sharing. That means the second thing is our government data catalog. And the third thing is the second Thailand Statistical System Master Plan 2017 to 2021, but we extend more 1 year to 2022. We need to prepare for the next master plan. Next slide, please. For the integration of statistic development with national development policy and plan. The data we have two things. The first is there is still little or lack of the low power and importance of statistics as a strategy resource for planning, decision making, good governance, accountability and management. The second is legislation for innovative data. We have two priority areas for improvement. The first one, NSO has to discuss or meeting either through various mechanisms and in interagency discussion to achieve statistical support and policy dialogue. And we need to revise the statistical legislation or statistical acts and relevant acts. Next slide, please. For the national monitoring framework and indicator set, we have like our 5 status. The first one is change in the Thai population structure, population and consumer declines. The working age population has decreased, resulting the labor shortage. The Thai population has longer life, resulting the higher ratio of dependence or number of elderly people to workforce, and good performance for poverty reduction, but income inequality still in the society. And we have 3 priority areas for improvement. 1, there is a need for good social protection system to cover all age groups to create sustainability in the future, promote the digital. Second, older people must have sufficient saving to spend after working age. And last, promote digital skill leading to increased career opportunity and income. Next slide, please. For the legislative provisions and institutional mechanism, we have 2 status. The first one, NSO not be able to use legal enforced liabilities to share data, and accessible and sharing data still is a big challenge. We have 3 priority areas for improvement. The first one, we have to develop the government data catalog and develop a project to promote the use of statistical data. And last, review and revise the statistical acts in accordance with the Personal Data Protection Act and relevant acts. Next slide, please. For expand use of official statistics, we have 3 status. The first one, NSO has been ordered to implement a resolution of the cabinet. Therefore, the government data catalog has been created to support the organization to prepare the data catalog. Then data and statistics will be sharing among the agencies, including official statistics. Second, the Thailand Statistical System Master Plan, the STATSI number 4, providing statistics service that are easy to understand and utilize. So we need to focus on this. And then the last, the data governance for government. Priority area for improvement. The first one, after government data catalog and agency data catalog are ready for sharing, data and statistics include official statistics and use of the official statistics in measuring and monitoring SDG indicator. Then need to revise the Statistical Act with related to expand use of official statistics. And last, the third or the next Thailand Statistical System Master Plan need to focus on more expanded use of official statistics. Next slide, please. 3 most important of National Statistical System improvement activities in 2021. The first one, government data catalog and provincial data catalog. Second, the project of utilization of statistical data for each target group, such as policymakers, kids and youth, place and public. And last, the ongoing register-based census, which many includes revising the statistical acts. And next, please. I will explain more on the project of the new data source and government data catalog in Thailand. New data source for agricultural census is the Central Farmer Database, which is the main data source collected by Ministry of Agricultural and Cooperatives. There are the information on agricultural holding at the individual and household levels that have been integrated with the relevant agencies, namely Department of Agricultural Extension, with planting holding the database. Department of Livestock Development with the Raising Animal Holding Database, and Department of Fishery with Fishery Database, including Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovation, and Digital Government Development Agency for the Developing Technology. Pooling data from multi-database, which is Strengthen Farmer Database. Next slide, please. Sorry. Okay. I'm go with the business and industrial census. We have the project on the common frame for business and industrial census. The data source for common frame are for many agencies such as NSO, Policy Agency, Bank of Thailand, Department of Business Development, and other agencies. The establishment data from various departments were integrated into the ingestion and integrated system, and then provide service to entities that use data through information service systems such as web service and web service API. And the last slide, next slide, please. The last slide is related to the government data catalog. Thai government set up the digital government framework for being a smart government in the near future. The framework consists of 5 pillars. The first one, law and regulation. Second, data exchange. Third, data catalog. The fourth, data governance. And last, infrastructure and HR development. We developed the government data catalog aim to improve the quality and efficiency of public services delivery. GD or government data catalog platform consists of agency data catalog by agency on the same standard. Second, government data catalog registration and management system. And last, government data catalog services. And the output of the government data catalog is user utilized. The projects of this government data catalog that responsibility by the Thai NSO, we have 2 main activities. The first is done in last year and this year is to promote and support government agency to in preparing the own internal data catalog to have the same standard, classify the level of confidentiality, and help identify information for metadata for every data set that can be called agency data catalog. And the second phase in next year or 2022 is to develop the Strengthen platform for government data catalog and directory services to collect all lists of agency data catalog and register them to the government data catalog for sharing. The benefit of the development of the GD catalog are data searching facilitation for many sources in a single platform and easily accessible for those listed as open data to increase the trust of data user. The catalog enables systematically integrated services and utilize information across departments. This is all my presentation, and thank you for listening to Thai NSO for sharing, and thank you, Like, and I give the floor back to Like. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kun Hathai Chanok, for yet another excellent presentation from a National Statistical Office and National Statistical System that has quite a lot of activities, both in the pipeline ongoing and also planned. So thank you so much for sharing this, and thank you also for all 4 presenters for all your preparatory work, for sharing what's really on your plate here in terms of strengthening your respective national statistical systems. So and you all really hit very well the aim of what we thought would be a very good thing to share with everyone in this workshop, which really focuses on the systems strengthening rather than very specific statistical production activities. So thank you also, all of you, for very much following the brief that we gave you. I should also mention to all the listeners and participants to the workshop that all these 4 statistical offices each shared some great things about their statistical system. And it's not because we have 4 boasting presenters here, it's because it was in the template that they were all given. So just want to put that put that straight. And thank you very much. And you all do have quite a lot to be proud of. I should also say to the observant listeners here who that you may have noticed that we've actually had presentations from countries that represent all the subregions in Asia and the Pacific. We've heard South Asia, we heard from Bhutan, we heard from Fiji representing the Pacific, we heard from East and Northeast Asia by Mongolia, and we've heard from Southeast Asia from Thailand now. And there is one sub-region missing, which is North and Central Asia. So this is the point in this session where I sent regards from Kyrgyzstan to all of you. Ms. Lola, whom some of you will know from Kyrgyzstan, should have presented also in this session, but at the last minute she was called to another meeting she couldn't get out of. But her presentation will be on the event webpage for everyone to have a look at. Now, we do have 10 minutes or so for questions, and thank you presenters for switching on your cameras here again. It's good to see you. And I'm wondering if we could also have Tashi from Bhutan. Could you also switch on your camera? So it's obvious to everyone that the 4 of you are now open for questions and comments. And to all participants, do put up your hand if you have a comment, general reflection or observation, or a direct question to any of our panelists. I do not see any hands. Let me see. Yes. We did have some, some to and from about citizen-generated data prompted by a question from Paris 21 from Philippe there. Philippe, do you want to elaborate a little bit on this point while everyone else think hard about questions to ask our presenters?
Sure, thank you, Rike. Maybe before I elaborate on the citizen-generated data, I will also ask another question. Maybe, yeah, on the other, using other data sources was highlighted even when we started the workshop. It was something that came bigger as under the name of big data, but indeed it is in general using other data sources to complement the official statistics in official reporting. Sometimes they are not considered as official statistics as such because they are not produced by the National Statistical System, but they are somehow good information that can be used to complement what the National Statistical Systems can't collect and report on. So citizen-generated data is one of those very important other data sources that can be collected from communities, from civil society organizations, which are not necessarily following the usual statistical methods, standards that we are used to use, but that can indicate the idea of the level of some kind of indicators that can be used by national statistical system without being official statistics, but can inform somehow some indicators from the SDGs. So that's why I brought this up as a question, because we can't just say that, okay, we can't collect some information and we can't use the existing information. We can assess the quality of those information, report on the level of some kind of indicators without saying that all this, they are following the strict standards in terms of statistical method. So
okay, thank you, Philip. Is there anything specific in Tashi's presentation that prompted that question from you, or is it more a general observation or question?
It's a general observation because when he was presented, he insisted on big data, which is very good because we have a lot of information.
I get the point, and this is one of the thing, and I as you also rightly mentioned, Philip, actually this was mentioned in all the presentations we've just heard, and I think it is a characteristics that you often hear this as sort of a very general term, but the use of big data or any type of data is never an end in itself. And this whole idea of reflecting on, well, what kind of statistics is it we want to produce, for what purpose, and then we can start scouring, you know, what kind of data sources might then be useful for that purpose. So thank you very much, Philippe, for bringing this particular type of data on the table. Tashi, do you want to share any reflections on the basis of this question? I don't know if you had a chance to look up the definition of citizen-generated data. There was some links that was very quickly shared in the chat after this came up. Tashi, please.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Ricky and Philippe, for bringing this very important topic, which we have never thought about. I think now, since we are quite aware that there is citizen-generated data as well, so I think we might even consider exploring the possibilities and the requirements. But I don't know whether you already have some sort of the methodologies and standards of using this, because I didn't get time to go through the link that Madam Ricky had shared. So, but I think we will have a look at it, the link, and then we will go through, and then we can also discuss here back in Bhutan what we can do with citizen-generated data if we have, the possibilities of even exploring. So thank you, Madam Ricky.
Okay, thank you so much, Tashi. Now, our friend from the Maldives, Shahuda, has just brought up a general reflection. She's wondering whether other countries can use the infrastructure developed from register-based census by other countries. And I'm wondering if I could pass this one on to you, Hatay Chanok, because this is part at least of the efforts that are currently undergoing in Thailand. Now, once all is said and done, and you are experts fully basing censuses on registers, do you think some of the infrastructure you've been working on and developed, would that be something that could maybe be used or be adapted by other countries to go down that path? It doesn't have to be a definite yes or no, yeah?
I'm not sure right now because I'm not the technical person for the technology. But after I think the technical use in Thailand can be used in other countries. But the important thing that National Statistical Office of Thailand face is the acts or the law of the other agency. We cannot get all the database, especially from the population database. We cannot get from the Ministry of Interior. That's why I can show you on the slide only the establishment or business register base. But the technology, I think, can apply in every country, and every country can use it. The important thing is the source of data that we cannot get through them. I'm not sure that I answered the question from Mandeep or not.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
you,
I think, as I said, it's probably not a question that can be answered yes or no to. What I'm hearing from you is that type of effort, which is so, let's say, foundational in terms of the kind of registers and information you'll have to work with, is very, very context dependent. I wonder if we could also ask our two chief statisticians to come in at this point. Kemoeli, any reflections from you on this issue of to what extent can one experience and one piece of statistical infrastructure really be shared and reused or recycled for another statistical system? In particular, if we start going into the use of administrative data, it doesn't have specifically to be register-based census, but any kind of use of administrative data. The nature of this data, is that such that everything becomes so dependent on the institutional and legal arrangements in a country that it really hinders that transfer? Any reflections, Kemo? You are on mute right now.
Thank you, Ricky. As you are aware, and that Fiji is part of the Pacific Island countries, where we normally faces challenges in terms of resources, which is a common issue for all Pacific Island Statistical Office. However, having said that, one of the biggest challenges that we have in the region is the lack of appreciation of statistics as a whole by line ministries. In that regard, from the statistical point of view, in terms of trying to capture as many administrative data as possible, we tend to venture out instead of apart from our normal networking and understanding each other of those that are working in other line ministries. We have gone over in the angle of entering into a memorandum of understanding. For us, especially for the Fiji office, having these two major events that have drastically affected our work as statisticians, administrative data and survey data have been affected by COVID-19, lockdowns and government restrictions in terms of trying to contain the virus, as well as natural disaster in terms of cyclones and flash floodings. We have to engage with other line ministries and departments. Similarly, with business entities, the major players in Fiji's economy, we have to enter into memorandum of understanding so that when at the end, towards the later end of the year, when we do compile our gross domestic product, we are assured through this memorandum of understanding that we have all the important players to be part of our analysis, rather than leaving the important industries and not being part of the measuring of GDP on a particular year. That one of the major crust of my first slide of my presentation today. One good thing about continue to improve and work on our national statistical system is the wider consultation and collaboration with our stakeholders. For Fiji's perspective, it does work in that regard. Entering into memorandum of understanding and memorandum of agreement solely for the reason that each line ministries may have their own mandate, their legislative mandates, and that normally protects them from sharing sensitive and confidential information with the statistical agency. As government change from one election year to another, similarly for statisticians and for government officials, they do change as well. Some have been promoted and some have left the organization, but having memorandum of understanding and memorandum of agreement assist the statistics office in that regard. It provides us the opportunity to still have access to information or data, whether administratively captured or through our respective surveys. That's what I wanted to share with you this afternoon, Breaking. Thank you.
Yeah, that's wonderful, Kemu. And I think what you're quite a few of the things you mentioned, it resonate very well with also what we just heard from Hatay as well. I mean, the whole issue of use of statistics, appreciation of statistics, and that kind of either positive or negative spiral one can get in terms of working with other line ministries, for example, I think is a phenomena that all senior statisticians definitely need to maneuver in and get the best out of it. And you are actually getting us to what is going to be the last question I'm going to throw at the panel here, which is the presenters have turned panel now, and it's going to be directed at the chief statistician from Mongolia, Mr. Badawa, because we have a question here that links to what we've just discussed, and that is from Ayman Amjad, who's writing, well, how far can the official statistics generated by governments, how far are they used by line ministries in policy making in the countries we've just heard from? Data for being available for researchers has good usability, but for government, there's a greater political economy involved. Could we hear something about the practical challenges of data usability from that perspective? And I'm going to hand it over to you, Mr. Badawa, and I'm going to give you only 2 minutes because we are getting very close to the end of today's session.
Sure.
Please, you have the floor.
So I'll try to be very fast. So in terms of in response to Ayman Amjad's question, I mean the data and the official statistics are appreciated by the professional community, of course, and the international community. But I would say we have a practical challenge when it comes to the usability for the line ministries or government as a whole. And the COVID-19 actually also has shown a challenge for the official statistics as well, because in order to prepare the policy response for the COVID-19, government needed very timely data, and also very granular or otherwise disaggregated data. But you know, the official statistics, we have a certain methodology and a certain time delays in releasing data. So this creates a practical challenge for the NSO. And as I mentioned in my earlier presentation, that some like private organizations or associations, they conduct their own survey and announce some certain results from their survey, which is not official statistics, and which in turn challenges the official statistics. And our practical difficulty is that sometimes those survey results are used by the line ministries for conducting their policy responses. So That's why we are in talks with the Parliament and also government that you have to emphasize more on the use of the official statistics in the policy making. And in order to increase our timeliness and also the granularity of the data, we are embarking on the project of the integrated data infrastructure, which in turn will help us to tackle this challenge in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What I'm hearing here is a big part of a senior statistician's work, in addition to working on statistics, is relation building, including with parliamentarians. Yeah, and I wish I had time to hand over to a few more of you this question, because I think it's an extremely interesting one, and we've heard from several of you touching upon some of this in your presentation, including what we just heard from Thailand, that there's work to actually adjust the statistics law when it comes to the use of official statistics, which is an interesting perspective. Hopefully we'll get a little more time to discuss this during the second and third session of this workshop. But for now, I want to thank the four of you for excellent presentations and being available for questions and answers. So I'm going to give you a virtual clap here. That was my applause. It's the best I can do. I wish we could be in the same room. But thank you for that. And I will just move on to a little closing for today. So I'll ask all of you to just stay on and stay attentive for the next 4 minutes or so. Thank you so much. And what I will do now is to put a few points on a slide about, you know, what did we really hear about today? What are we going to focus on tomorrow? And what are we going to focus on in the third and last session of this workshop? And I'm just wondering if a colleague will share the presentation, or if I should try now to share my own screen. I'll try to share my own screen. Yep. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, it's good.
Wonderful, thank you. So we've heard a few things today. We heard about a lot of commitments governments in the region and statisticians in the region have made, and that was part of some of the initial remarks, both by Gemma and later by a presentation by Aman. We also heard from monitoring information that quite a few of these commitments, they do require some action and some attention. We heard from some of the partners presented at the workshop today that there is a lot of tools available to support strengthening of statistical systems. I was doing a quick count, and we are only looking at 4 commitments, and in summary we've heard about more than 20 tools. So no wonder if it is a bit of a maze to get through and race above to figure out what kind of tool is maybe the most efficient or relevant to the particular priority of your statistical system. And we heard now here from 4 statistical officers of the region that there's plenty of great things to say about national statistical systems in Asia and the Pacific. And we also heard that at least in these 4, there are big plans for strengthening their national statistical system. And those big plans certainly include big data and much, much more. If we look at tomorrow's session, I tried to figure out what we could use as sort of a keyword, but what we will do tomorrow is really a kind of a deep dive into technical assistance. We got just a little brief on some of the tools available and some of the support available, and that already generated quite a lot of questions. So I think it's the right choice to spend a little bit more time on this tomorrow. We will hear also from 2 countries, that would be from Samoa and from the Maldives, on their experiences with technical assistance. And we've chosen these 2 countries not only because we so love their chief statisticians, but also because they have actually had very in-depth experience with 2 of the tools that have been presented here today. And then we'll try to put all the development partners on the spot for people to shoot questions to figure out whether they are really good and professional enough for the supply of assistance to meet the actual demand from statistical system. And now I'm saying they, but I probably would have to say, well, it includes me as well. Yeah, and then what we will do is next week, the 20th of May, meaning that there's some time for reflection in between the sessions, is that we will really look at, well, how can the development partners best help you live up to the commitments you've made, implement the priorities in your statistics development strategies, etc. And this is where we will be hearing from you, from representatives of the national statistical system in the region. And we will hear from those of you who have submitted a form indicating you want to make a country intervention on 20th of May. So this is really your chance to make a statement on what is my priority for strengthening my statistical system, and what are my priorities for the kind of technical assistance I would like to see from development partners, including those participating in this workshop, which is ESCAP and ECE, the Asian Development Bank, and Paris 21. So this is an excellent opportunity